Hello and welcome to the Nicole Mason Show, the show where we bring you high achieving women, women who are movers and shakers in their respective industries, women who are phenomenal and phenomenally blessed. Today, I am so super excited to have as my guest the one, the only Jewel Diamond Taylor. Listen, she doesn't need a long introduction. We'll have her bio on our site. You can read that, but this phenomenal woman of God has been motivating women, encouraging women for a long time, over 3 decades, and still relevant, still on the speaking circuit, sharing with women all around the world. And so I'm so super excited that she's taken the time to join us on the Nicole Mason Show. Welcome, Dr. Jewel.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be with you today. Let's do it.
Yes, we have so much ground to cover, and you know, your bio is extensive, and I want you to talk about the women on the grow, the movement that you've started. And just tell us about how that movement started and what you all are doing. I've seen some phenomenal pictures of you all around the world in different places doing the work that you do. So I'm excited to hear about that.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I love you and respect you tremendously. And I love what I do. I feel I was born to do this. And Dr. Nicole, I find that many of us create what we needed in our lives. I needed sisterhood. I love traveling. I have an empathetic heart for women that are lost, marginalized, needing support emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially. Being the first of 3 daughters, I kind of fall into that stereotype of being a leader. And so I just kind of took the lead and said, I'm going to create circles for women to come together and talk and share. I didn't realize at that time that it was going to really be a ministry of healing, so that it would be a springboard for women to embrace their purpose, to find their voice, to know that their lives have value. So for 35 years, we have been doing some great things. One aspect is reaching out to women that are dealing with adversity, because we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we have wonderful partners that we call Sister Sowers. We're able to offer funds, books, my coaching at no cost to women that are living with breast cancer. Women like myself, I lost my son to cancer at 38 years old. So I have a outreach grief ministry. So I'm able to work with so many women that have lost their children. We're able to talk with women that are dealing with depression or homelessness or coming out of addiction, or there's so many women, Dr. Nicole, that are burdened with caregiving. So whatever type of adversity women are dealing with, we are an outreach to them. The other aspect is that I create conferences and coaching and mentoring for women for their personal development. I'm an ordained minister. I'm a life coach. I am a talk therapist practitioner. I'm an author. And the other leg is that we love to travel. So we as women get to do a lot of things. We've gone. I had my first Women on the Grow International Conference in South Africa. We have traveled together to Hawaii, Palm Springs, Malibu, Santa Barbara. We love the ocean. So there are 3 legs to what we do: an outreach, personal development, and traveling. We are women on the grow and women on the go.
On the go, yes. Let me tell you, I was so excited watching those pictures and just the women's faces. And I'm sure that you have seen over the years, at least, when I started traveling several years ago to speak and preach, I wouldn't see a lot of African Americans in the airports, particularly depending upon where I was also.
Yes.
And so I think that is really a powerful aspect of your ministry to expose people to travel and to different parts of the world. I'm of the mindset that exposure is everything. And so I want you to talk about, how you started in this speaking industry, because you are a veteran in this speaking industry. And I say that because even now, Dr. Jewel, there still are not a lot of African American women or men for that matter in the speaking industry. And so I really want you to talk about how you started and really how you've been able to sustain your business over the years.
Well, when I think about it, Dr. Nicole, again, I wanted to be the teacher that I wish I had. The things that we didn't learn in high school, things I didn't learn in college, the things I didn't learn at the kitchen table at home, I really found that there were people in my community that didn't talk about goal setting. They didn't talk about vision boards. They didn't talk about healing the inner child. They didn't have tools beyond Sunday morning to deal with divorce or racism or parenting or caregiving or closing that generational gap. And so I really wanted to create a classroom that was helping me also. Mm-hmm. But I also was traveling ever since I was about 9 or 10 years old, because my parents divorced when I was a young age. We would travel from California to DC every summer. I had a taste of traveling at a young age. So when I got married, I've been married 51 years now.
Wow.
When I got married, it was like, where are we going? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I still had that travel bug. I needed to travel. So I found that there were women that were single, or women who were married, or women who didn't want to travel by themselves, or women who never left California. And they liked the idea of traveling as a group. It gave them courage. It gave them a sense of safety. It gave them a sense of sisterhood. And what it did for our tribe, we refer to ourselves as a tribe, it really knitted us together, because we began to share memories together. We've gone so many places together by train. I've had a mother-daughter cruise to the Bahamas, and then had an opportunity to speak at Reverend Miles Monroe's church, bless his heart. Mm-hmm. And so I've had them in the mountains. I've had it on cruise ships. I've had it by the ocean. For 9 years, I've had retreats in Malibu. And Malibu in California, when you're there, you don't even think you're in California. You can feel like you're in Italy or Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And women that live right in California were discovering these sweet spots. Mm-hmm. They never left their city. They never left their county. And so I realized there are those of us that just like, when we're going, let's go. Mm-hmm. And then there's some like, I don't know, I'm not sure. I don't want to go by myself, or my husband doesn't want to go with me, or what about the kids, or I don't have any money. And so I really tapped into a need. I realize now that and I'm a more of a mature woman than you. I'm in my 7th decade. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of women from my generation that didn't travel.
Right.
The children came first, as they should. Mm-hmm. Their career took over their lives. They never really made the time or saved the money to say, you know what, I deserve this, and I'm going to make time for that. So it's been a great experience.
And it's so interesting. When you say in your 7th decade, I'm looking at you, I'm like, where? God has been good. He's been gracious. I mean, wow, you look phenomenal. And
thank you.
When I look at your pictures on social media, I'm just in awe of your grace, your beauty, and just thanking God for the work that He charged your hands to do. And you've done it consistently. Consistency is powerful, and really staying on the wall all this time to be of service and to help other women. And when you talk about, women in your generation and, before, because it makes me think about my grandmother. She said, if I was supposed to fly, God would have given me wings.
I know. So a lot of them are overcoming fear. But then when I think about the genesis of my speaking also, because I've been blessed to speak in several countries and 35 of the United States. It's because of two things, Dr. Nicole. I was able to speak for 12 years with the African American women on tour, and we zigzagged the country for 12 years. I met the most amazing women. There's not a city or event that I go to that someone doesn't remember me from the African American Women on Tour, produced by Maria Dowd. And I was able to introduce iconic women like Dr. Maya Angelou, Coretta Scott King, Susan Taylor, Dr. Fresh Francis Welsing, Yolanda Van Zandt, Alice Walker, Queen Latifah, Gladys Knight, Shirley Caesar. I mean, I could go on and on. That was like a classroom for me. And I learned so much. And because of those engagements, I've spoken for so many government agencies because I was connected to Blacks in government. So a lot of it is being in the right place at the right time, having integrity. Because good news travels fast, but bad news travels faster. So I would say that 90% of my speaking engagements over this 35-year span was word of mouth. You can have a website, you can have brochures, and you can have videos, but if people are not talking you up and making those references and endorsements, because people like to hire people that they know or that someone has endorsed. They don't want to take the risk of having someone and then they get there and embarrass them, or they're not on their agenda or meeting their mission. So I'm very grateful that the Lord, the timing, the connections, the endorsements, the prayer life that I've had. I mean, my vision board is sitting right there. I've been teaching vision board since the 80s. And I believe in the power of what we envision and what we talk about. And I used to tell people that I was international before I even had a passport. I was speaking it. The word of God says, speak those things that be not as if they are. It's not that I was lying, but I was visualizing in my mind, and I was stepping into my worthiness, that I feel like I am competent and confident to be able to do these things. I can't, when I think about the places that I've spoken, military bases, and don't have any military background, you know, FBI, EPA.
That's awesome and amazing. Talk a little bit about, you know, how important it is for people, particularly women, to network with one another.
That's it right there, Dr. Nicole. That is it. You know, people skills, follow up, integrity, sharing, collaborating, sharing resources, following up. I can't tell you how many times I have given people, you know, my business card, my phone number, my email. Don't hear from them.
Wow.
I follow up. I'm a communicator, not only on the stage, but in my personal interactions. People are surprised when I return phone calls or I return emails. This is my livelihood. This is my ministry. This is my name. And I'm a people person. And because I'm a people person, networking comes very natural for me. And I know there's some people that feel like, well, they have a sense of entitlement, or it's just going to be magic. No, you've got to cross-pollinate. You have to be able to show up at other people's organization. You have to support one another. You don't always have to have the light shined on you, because what's meant for you, nobody can block that. But you must network. And you know, I'm glad you said that. That's a very important part of what we do as Women on the Grow. We have a diversity, not only in age, but in careers and marital status. Some are single, some are married, some are parents, some are not, some are grandparents. I'm a grandparent. And we network, we support one another. And we're trying to debunk this myth that we as Black women don't like each other. We don't hate on each other. We don't allow any drama. It's a drama-free zone. So we practice that.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I remember I was a part of a group of lawyers, and somebody posted one time, and they said, one of the Stanford University directors of psychiatry or psychology said that the best thing that a man can do is marry a woman And the best thing that a woman can do is to nurture her relationships with other women. And I said, that is absolutely true, because the studies show that when women get together, we release serotonin. And serotonin, is a neurotransmitter in our brains that wards off depression and wards off, feelings of loneliness, etc. And this is why when we get together with our sister friends, we feel so good. Like we can, climb over walls, run through troops,
That's right. It's electric. You're so right about the neurotransmitter. And I talk a lot about those happy hormones that women produce, the dopamine, the serotonin, all of that. And so I love educating the women, but you do it through the experience. I say that we don't create events. I create experiences. We just recently had a one-day getaway on the Amtrak, and we went from LA to Santa Barbara, and there was so much laughter. And you could feel the women, a lot of the burdens and the dust from just the domestic side of their life, the career, the parenting, it just fell off. And a lot of people don't understand the power of just being together and laughing, especially during this pandemic.
Yeah.
With everybody being shut down and social distancing, we felt like this was a good time to practice safety precautions. But what we are social creatures.
Yeah.
And we needed it. And I could tell the women were so happy. And you're right. I think people like you and me can help to dispel this thing that we don't like each other and we can't help each other. No, we can share ideas about marriage and parenting and career and finances. I learned so much from my sister friends about finances.
Yeah.
I learned so much about parenting. And now that I'm a grandmother, all the grandmothers in my tribe are helping me because I'm a late grandmother. I didn't become a grandmother till my peers have their grandchildren had children.
Right.
So I'm learning from them.
And baby Cody is just so wonderful.
Thank you for saying his name.
He's so wonderful.
He's my dearest heart. He is my heartbeat. And so there's things that I have to learn about parenting and how to stay out of his parents' lives and their business. And I have to learn, I have to take him home. He's not my baby.
Right.
I have to give him back.
Exactly. Oh, listen, I know I'm 5 months in. I know all about what you're talking about.
Yes.
And that leads me to my next question about your ministry background and how that has influenced the work that you do all across the country, all around the world. How has that impacted the work that you do with women?
Well, I always knew, even before I got ordained, that we're not just our bodies. We're not just the letters behind our name. We're not just our zip code. We're not just the weight on the scale. We are a mind, a body, and a spirit. And especially people of our culture, we are very spiritual.
Yeah.
And I cannot separate the principles for success and healing without including the word of God. I just can't do it. And I feel like when I'm teaching and speaking and mentoring and counseling, it's coming from a holistic context. You just can't give people ABC and not deal with their spiritual health, their mental health, their emotional health, their childhood history.
Yeah.
We had to take all of these factors into consideration. I think people appreciate the fact that I'm coming from a holistic perspective. And I don't say things like, well, what did you do wrong? Or you're a sinner. It's like, no, what happened to you? What happened when you were a child?
Yeah.
What happened when mama died? What happened, when you got laid off? What happened when love walked out the door? How did that affect you? What happened? Where did that church hurt come from? How do you pray to God? And what is your relationship with God? To me, that is really speaking to the whole person. And I think people appreciate that because they're not one-dimensional. And I actually ran from being ordained because I was like, I don't want a collar around my neck and I don't want a church building, the brick and the mortar and all that responsibility. But I realized in order to have that respect and to have that conviction to God, that I needed to go through that process. And it opened up doors for me to be invited to churches because, being a female, first of all, that is already one strike against you.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you know what, I need to go ahead and go through the process of being ordained. Even though I speak the language of many religions, spiritual organizations, because as a people, we're not monolithic in our religions. And I want to be able to speak to the woman who practices another religion because she's still my sister. And I don't want to judge her because she prays in a different way or has a different practice. She still could be hurting. She could still feel invisible. She could still feel like I need help and I need resources. So I like that question because I think that is so important in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. And that leads me to my question about, this pandemic. What are some of the spiritual lessons or the spiritual aspects of this pandemic that you think God has been trying to say?
Wow. Well, the things that we want are certainty and comfort. Mm-hmm. We want to predict things. And I think this pandemic shook us up to realize there is nothing permanent. There is nothing certain. And we can get so comfortable that we don't understand the adversity paradox. The adversity paradox is that if we never deal with any adversity, let me put it this way, we become like little punks. We become weak. I can't handle it. It's too hard. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You think you don't need God when everything is going well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You don't think you need your neighbor when everything is going well.
Yeah.
You don't think you need your friends when everything is going well. You don't think you need to pray when everything is going well. You don't think you need to fast or save money when everything is flowing. But the pandemic brought us many different lessons to appreciate life more, to live in the now, to realize things could be taken away from us in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. And that we could all lose loved ones, whether it's the pandemic or not. How did you leave that person? Mm-hmm. What was your last conversation? Was there any forgiveness? Because it could be a car accident. It could be anything. Mm-hmm. So I think it really grounded me even more because after I lost my son, that was my adversity lesson that, God's in charge. I'm not in control because, as mothers, I'm going to fix him. I'm going to heal him. He's going to take this medicine and these herbs and he's going to drink this and I'm going to pray and we're going to fast. No, Jewel, he belongs to God. You don't have control over everything. So this pandemic really didn't shake me up as bad as some people that I realized had never been through any adversity. Mm-hmm. I love the saying that you never know where the leaks are in your roof until it rains.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah. You don't know where they are. You think, if the house is intact. And then all of a sudden when the rain comes and you realize, I wasn't managing my finances well. Oh, look at that. I haven't had much of a prayer life. Oh, look at that. My house it needs to be decluttered. Oh, look at that. My job no longer exists. Oh, so all of these leaks in our building came in the form of a pandemic, and it helped people to realize, to have more of a sense of gratitude, appreciation, mm-hmm. and to care for one another and to be more proactive and prepared for any other future adversities, because they certainly will come.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I'm going to have you back on. I want to delve more into losing your son and navigating that space, but still yet being used by God. We can, I know it's not the same, I lost my mom and my grandmother. It's not the same as losing a child, but really pain, is pain, and really being able to navigate that space and to continue on in your purpose. But we'll have to talk about that because that can take us down another road because, really knowing that God turns everything into purpose. He doesn't allow pain to break us down, but rather to build us up. But in that same vein, as it relates to the pandemic and just a little bit about losing your son. What was your motivation to keep going?
My purpose.
Mm-hmm.
When you're already doing the work,
Yeah.
when you're already doing the work, and when you realize that the work you're doing is not for you, it's for other people,
Yeah.
you can't be selfish. You have to say, it's not that I powered through, but we were talking about those hormones, those
Mm-hmm.
neurotransmitters earlier. And I know that when I'm doing the work, when I am in that sweet spot of helping others and blessing others and pouring out,
Mm-hmm.
it creates that dopamine. It creates that serotonin. I don't need a drug. I don't need alcohol.
Yeah.
I get that natural high.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the spirit takes over. It's not even me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even me.
Yeah.
And of course, when you finish and you lay down, the pain comes back. Like, oh, I'm back in my body.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't have that option to allow the spirit to take over. It's a
Mm-hmm.
takeover.
Yeah.
It's a takeover. And when you say, God, you can use me, you don't get to do it on your terms.
Yeah. Oh,
You
that's
know,
that's good.
and you realize that that is the medicine for the soul. And
Mm.
you realize the biggest principle I learned from losing my son, my mother, my best friend, my father, my grandmother who died right beside me in the bed,
Mm-hmm.
and this pandemic, I learned surrender.
Wow.
I've learned to accept the mystery of God, that we don't have answers for everything. And I think we live in a time where the media is trying to force down our throat this idea of closure. There is no such thing as closure.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as having an answer for every question and every pain and every adversity we have. We have to surrender to it and say, God, what is the gift in it? See,
Mm-hmm.
diamonds are found in the dirt,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the dirt. A
Mm-hmm.
lotus comes out of the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in the murk and the mire and the dirt and the pain and the stinkiness of life, there is a lotus, there is a diamond, but you have to look for it and you have to know that it's there.
Mm.
You have to know that it's there. And that's why I love that movie. Oh, with Will Smith, what was it called? Collateral Beauty. I didn't understand it at first.
Mm-hmm.
It means collateral means something is laying right beside the pain. It's beautiful. What is the beautiful? If you look for the beauty in the pain, you can find it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you're not going to hurt. I'm not saying that you won't cry yourself to sleep. But
Yeah.
if you have a higher intention that, Lord, help me to see the beauty in this.
Mm-hmm.
Help me find the gift in this, God.
Mm-hmm.
Through the tears,
Mm-hmm.
God will. I wrote a book a year after my son passed away in my arms.
Mm.
I'm like, really, God? Really?
Wow. Yeah. Well,
Really?
we're gonna definitely have to have you come back and really speak to that parent that has lost their child, because there's so much of that going on in our
Oh,
urban centers and all of that. Here in DC, a 6-year-old was just murdered, not a couple of nights ago. Just tragic, but
so hard.
people need hope. And
Yes,
and I love that you are called the self-esteem doctor, really meaning that people can turn to you for help. And so as we are winding up, please share with the audience how they can get in contact with you and some of what they can expect if they connect with you.
absolutely. I have 3 websites: jeweldiamondtaylor.com, womenonthegrow.org, and theselfesteemdoctor.com. The self-esteem has a hyphen, theselfesteemdoctor.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, and they can reach out to me, they can call me or email me. I offer one-on-one talk therapy. I'm a practitioner in talk therapy. I offer life coaching. There are many people that want to be a platform speaker like myself, and I share the nuts and the bolts and the do's and the don'ts.
Mm-hmm.
I do couples counseling.
Mm-hmm.
I've made enough mistakes in my 50-year marriage.
Yeah.
Gained a lot of insights that I wish somebody had told me. And I love being able to pass those pearls along. I have books, I have a podcast. You can find me on Pandora, Apple, Spotify. The links are on my website. Okay.
Excellent.
I have several books. So
Mhm.
just reach out to me. Love
Excellent.
to communicate with anyone. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, thank you. And the time goes so quickly, but I certainly want to thank you all for joining us again for another episode of the Nicole Mason Show. Until next time, be blessed.
Thank you so much.